Hello and welcome back to another video about CMake. CMake is widely used and still very popular nowadays. CMake is a software toolset which gives the developers full control over the whole life cycle of a given project. So these toolsets are the CMake itself, which lets you describe how your project, whether building an executable library or both, doesn't matter, has to be configured, built, and installed on all major hardware and operating systems. Another tool offered by CMake toolset is the C-test, which allows you to define tests, test suites, and set how they should be executed. These are used mainly to test your targets, which we'll later on find what they are. CPack offers a DCL for all your packaging needs, whether your project should be bundled and distributed in source code or platform native binary form. C- will be useful for reporting the results of tests for your project to an online dashboard. So these are mainly the toolsets provided by CMake. Now we will go through a workflow and understand how these tools are used in a project, and we will see how they interact and what to expect if you are deciding to use CMake for your project. So we will start very simple here. We have a project which is composed from our original source files and some CMake lists text. Yes, these are simple text files which will contain the CMake written commands. Now, first stage that we will go through is the configuration stage. This stage is when CMake is running. In this phase, CMake will process the CMake list files. So like I said, these files in your project and configure it. During this configuration phase, some new generated source files could be added to the project. So now that the configuration phase is complete, we can move on to the next one, which is generation stage. Upon successful configuration, CMake will generate the scripts needed by the native build tools to perform subsequent steps in the project. Basically, what this means is that after the CMake configuration stage, some scripts are needed to be generated to be used by the native build tools. In our case, for example, we can say that based on some CMake configuration, our scripts could be some make files or ninja files that will invoke later the compiler or the needed steps in the build process. So this is the generation phase. Next phase after the generation is complete is the build stage. So basically at this stage, the generated scripts during the step 2 are invoked. At this point, the compiler will be invoked and the targets, executables, and libraries will be built in the specific build directory. Also, a configuration recursive step could appear here, meaning that those scripts which are generated during step 2, during build, they can themselves trigger CMake again during the actual build process. And these are some examples when this can happen. If your project has some external dependencies that themselves use CMake and need to be configured, if you're using CMake sub-projects, or if part of your build system needs to regenerate build rules based on code that is generated during the build. This is the build stage, which, of course, during this build, you can have some new generated source files, and as a final outcome, you will have the targets in the specific directory. Now, moving forward to another stage, which is install stage. Now that you have the generated source files, which are original source files, generated source files during the configuration, generated source files during the build, you could, together with the build targets, install the files. This is when the project targets, source files, executables, and libraries are installed from the build directory to an install location. This is called install stage. Next stage could be the test stage. If you have the targets, why not run some test? So C-test is when we run the test suite of the project to check whether the targets perform as intended. Of course, the results needs to be reported. So C- helps with that. So this is when the results of testing the project are uploaded to a dashboard to be shared with other developers. Next stage will be CPack. CPack is when we package our project for distribution, either as a source code or binary directly from the build targets. And the last stage would be package install. Package install stage is when the newly minted package is installed system-wide. And with this, CMake workflow is complete. I hope this helps. Thank you very much. Bye.